Good Erev Shabbos, everybody, from the Bayit. As around me in the main sanctuary, we're preparing our Bayit with decorations for Purim, trying to find that place of inner joy in the hardest of times for Am Yisrael at so many levels, but still believing that there is a Nekudat HaSimcha, a place of joy that we can discover and celebrate with each other this Purim, by extension with all of Am Yisrael. For me, maybe some of that simcha comes from one of the very first Rashis in this week's parasha. In fact, the very first Rashi in Chumash Vayikra. Vayikra el Moshe. God calls out to Moshe, welcoming Moshe into the Ohel Moed, the newly inaugurated Mishkan, where God's presence is dwelling. And God summons Moshe to join God there. And Rashi, of course, comments that Vayikra el Moshe, that Kriyah, is a language of love, Lashon Chiba, quoting, interestingly, from the way angels refer to one another, Lashon Shamalachei HaSharet Mishtamshim, the language that angels use, quoting the pasuk from Yeshayahu, V'kara Ze El Ze V'amar. The angels call out to one another and say, celebrating God's holiness, Kadosh, 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 Hashem Tzvakot. It's amazing that Rashi chooses not just to highlight Kriyah as a language of chiba, of affection and love, but the example of angels, because angels are equals. They're on an even playing field, a level playing field, one to another. They call out to each other as equals. This is the example Rashi chooses to use to describe God calling out to Moshe. Moshe may have been closer to God, Isha Elohim, than any other human who ever lived. But still, the gap between them is the gap between mortal and divine, between the finite and the infinite. And yet somehow, when God called out to Moshe, they became like equals, because God used the language that the angels use when they call out to one another, a language of calling out in love. Love creates equality. Love eliminates power differentials and dynamics. When you love a person and you reach out to them from a place of love, whatever power differentials might exist in the relationship, if the love is mutual, often dissipate and disappear in that moment. And the sense of equality and intimate relationship overwhelms and overtakes whatever differentials, dynamics, gaps, or space previously inhabited the relationship. That's the power of Kriyah Lashon Chiba. I've been feeling in the last few weeks, most especially, of these nearly 170 days of war, that our relationships are often straining. We're finding ourselves pulled to our respective positions on what should be happening in Eretz Yisrael and Medinat Yisrael, on how to react to opinions we agree with or we disagree with, moments of politics across the spectrum. And our voices and our opinions and our points of view matter. But it's the Kriyah. It's being sure to reach out to one another across those divides from a place of ahava, of chiba, that will preserve our sense of relationship, our seeing each other and feeling each other as equals, equal partners in the destiny of Am Yisrael and Kol Yoshvei Tevel, in the destiny of our duty to preserve the welfare of every human endowed with Tzelem Elohim, with the spirit and the image of God. Believing that that's possible is my Nekudat HaSimcha this Purim, that if we reach inside ourselves for the love across relationships that are feeling strained, that while the differences of opinion will remain, the relationships can be steady. We can see the equality in one another. We can find that affection and love, and from there, move forward into a day of simcha. La Yudim Haita Ora v'simcha v'sason vikar, and as we will say in Saturday night's Havdalah, Kein Tiyeh Lanu, so may light, joy, gladness be for us, with love, with affectionate, loving care for one another. Shabbat Shalom.